Welcome back to Boruto Anime Review, episode 148. This I'm reviewing the 149th episode of the anime, Friends, which is adapted from chapter 12 of the Boruto manga. And unlike last week, where I actually cut out pages from the episodes, the episode itself, this week they didn't cut out anything. They adapted the entire chapter from beginning to end. They made. Okay, you want to know anything they did with the actual adaptation? Well, they added some stuff, they made sequences a little bit longer, and they made a couple visual changes in here. First visual change, right away I should mention though, Boruto in the chapter was not wearing his ninja headband at all, the whole time. And he's wearing a slightly different shirt. In the anime, he's wearing the shirt he's wearing since, of course, they changed his outfit to be a little more much more white shirt that he's not wearing, and he actually is spending the whole episode wearing his ninja headband. Also, the anime has Sensei portray him a little bit taller than he is in the manga. So, there's that. There's some other visual changes, some minor wording changes. Mostly put, it's a pretty faithful adaptation of the manga chapter, and of course there are some additions. The episode starts off with Boruto arriving at the hotel that Tanto is staying at. Now, this sequence in the manga, just arriving at a hotel, and then walking through some doors, and it's very quick, and he's outside. In the end, in this episode, we actually have a full 1 minute sequence of him passing by a whole bunch of bellhops before he gets outside. Okay? And mostly put, the scene that precedes right after that is exactly the same as the manga. Show up the Shadow clones, shows them off, and then he goes to the sexy jutsu thing, which they did. There's a minor visual change here, because in the manga, the sexy jutsu the Boruto uses wears a swimsuit. In the anime, they kind of added something to it, like a towel around them. Yeah, aside from that, it's mostly pretty similar. And they do make one minor visual change here, the direction where, now they show his credit card. They do add a sequence in here of how he got the credit card. In the manga, there's no mention of how he got it. It's explained in the episode itself that he actually got the credit card as a birthday present from his father, the feudal lord. Okay, I appreciate that. That's one of several anime additions they make in this episode. One big one is the feudal lord having a meeting with Naruto and Shikamaru in a room that's very rarely used in the franchise. I think the last official time they used this particular room, I mean, yes, they did use this room in the last episode, but last time Hokage used this very room was probably Tsunade. That's probably the last one I can think of that used this very room. I mean, it's just a meeting room, just 2 couches and a coffee table. Yeah, it's great to see this room again where it's used by an actual feudal lord, but used by the Hokage. Yeah, it's very real. It's a room. It's got a little symbol of the fire on the side there. It's a great room. This room very rarely appears in the show because whenever they show the Hokage, some people call it the mansion per se. The only thing they show is Naruto's office and maybe the hallway. But that is it. I think they show one other room in this place, but that's it. Mostly put the Hokage's office is the most frequently seen room of this entire building because it's basically where he's based. If you look at every single Hokage on the show who has appeared in the show, a lot of them basically you've seen them in their office. The only 2 you don't in the entire franchise has been the first 2 Hokage. Yeah, these 2 have never shown in the office. The third Hokage who's seen in this office, along with the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Basically, 3 through 7, they've been shown in their office, and almost all of them, except for the third one, had an actual desk they operated off of. Third Hokage acted like a Japanese-style desk where he's sitting on the floor. Yeah, but that's the third Hokage for you. Yep, they just basically, now what is the feudal lord and Naruto discussing? Redirecting some funds, basically, because the feudal lord mentions that the piece is temporary, and despite the fact they want to investigate the Kageyo ruins, okay, we're going to defend some funds defense. Naruto doesn't raise a slight objection, but he's not against it. because he points out, though, one of the shinobi's number one duty is to protect his country and the people. And the feudal lord agrees with that assessment. And Shikamaru is a bit worried that the money is being diverted someplace they probably don't want to be diverted. But Naruto doesn't have really big, like, if it involves defending the country, that's fine. But as long as there's some money left for some defense, some education, and the research of the Kage ruins, as long as basically there's money there for that, he's perfectly satisfied with it. And he mentions, though, despite ridiculous funds, we're not going to change what we're going to do. And the feudal lords actually agree with that. And he just go off and, well, he has to basically spend time with his son, which he doesn't do. Now, this is the only scene they actually made an addition to. Mostly put everything out this edition. It's mostly just some extensions and something that's slightly longer per se. As the case with Boruto and Tento are up to, like, basically he has to teach ninjutsu, and they go back and forth, eventually agrees to. They do make a slight visual change here. Now, when they show Boruto look at the book, they don't show what's in the book. When they show the book later from behind, it looks like some cards in this book. In the anime, they actually added this one card I did recognize, and it looked like Hinata from part 1. I was very surprised to see it, because I would have thought, though, that the people who made these cards would have Hinata in her current look. But no, they don't. There's a mention of Kakashi in this episode, who does not make a physical appearance, by the way. And it would be nice, though, and apparently, we have, so of course, a few days pass by, but we also have something happening to the butler. In the manga, it's a very brief sequence. Like, he looks at something. At first, he goes off looking for Tento, finds him, which Boruto teaches him how to use a shuriken. And then later on, we see him where he sees somebody, some big hulking guy. I won't reveal who this is. And then this person comes behind him and sort of absorbs him. And then we see us follow up at the very end of the episode with him talking to one of his subordinates. And he says, "Everything's all set, boss." And that's the end of the episode. But this episode, I got handed to the people who made this episode. It was really good. I like the fact we had a montage sequence of basically a Boruto and Tento doing the shuriken training. That was really nice. And definitely looking forward to next week's episode. We're going to see the boss of the Meiji Bandits. Yeah, he's going to make a physical appearance in next week's episode. Now, he was last seen. By the time of next week's episode, it only had been like just 3 episodes since his last appearance, because his last appearance prior to that very episode, of course, of next week, would have been in episode 100, and I believe it's 47. That was his last appearance. I mean, yeah, he's been absent for a couple episodes, but we finally get a chance to see him in next week's episode, and it looks like his hair is green. I thought that was kind of weird. I mean, why would a leader of bandits have his hair in his head and his mustache be green? I don't know why. It's particularly a little bizarre. Yeah, but otherwise, though, that's really it for this particular episode. Not much else to say, because there wasn't much major changes with this episode. Mostly, it just basically Boruto and Tento to basically do some training. Yeah, that's the best thing you can say about this chapter. Is not a lot of major stuff happens. I mean, mostly put, the Naruto scene I thought was really nice. Really good addition to the episode. The sequence itself lasts for about the scene itself lasts for a good 3 minutes, but it's a very good amount, few minutes of screen time. Just have a couple characters have a quick meeting. But surprising, the feudal lord does not reappear again after that scene. It's his only appearance. And I at least appreciate, though, that this feudal lord is not an idiot like his predecessor. His predecessor was an idiot. Like, oh my gosh, that guy was so dense, and he was carrying on a fan with it, and basically, he was so much of an idiot. Like, oh my god, that guy was such a goofball. And this feudal lord is much more nicer. He's a bit more strict. He actually acts like a feudal lord. Instead, the other one basically just there just for show. Yeah. But not much else to say about this episode. It's really good. Definitely looking forward to next episode. Okay, so that's it for this particular review. My next review, if I'll probably get time to do it tonight, will be a review of the next part for Inuyasha, where I'll review the next 8 episodes of the final act. Okay, see you next video. Bye.